One, two, three, four. All right. Here's the deal for those of you tuning in. I am on my way to be sentenced as a violent offender who has committed a violent offense by violating no one. They have used weapons to rob me of justice, and therefore, that's right, I'm going to get justice. And let's start off by, well, jaywalking like everybody else does. Since my 420 friendly nightclub, where I smoke pot in good faith, come on out, trying to make them come arrest me for smoking weed in every table at my club. They wouldn't do it in good faith. They arrest me as a front for drug trafficking, and now they arrest me as a violent offender. So, what I'm going to do is this is the courthouse in Shelby County, known by its address 201 Poplar. Many of you might remember the spot from 2011 when I smoked pot from an apple, fulfilling a pledge. Today, I'm supposed to be upstairs getting 12 years in prison. It's a violent offender who did nothing to no one, but instead, I'm going to stop by here and open up the very first, yes I am, the very first cannabis dispensary in Shelby County. Now, I am selling really high-grade cannabis as everybody runs for their lives. I love it. Great. I have high-grade cannabis for sale. I don't know.
You come over here, I mean, it's open domain.
Somebody, let's see how long this deal will stay open. But I want it on the record.
It's open domain, so if you don't want to be recorded,
I have
come
the
over
open,
here.
first open 420 friendly night. Let's leave all that crosstalk out. No one's listening to that. Open the first 420 friendly nightclub in Shelby County. And we didn't want to fucking let me down. Now I'm opening up the first pot exchange right in front. So who wants to step up? Anybody, I have cannabis for sale. I have quality cannabis for sale. I am a pot dealer, exercising my right in a free market, free enterprise, free trade society, where people have free will. So, here I am.
Is it 10 a G?
Is it what's that?
How much is it?
It is $1 a gram. $1 a gram.
Yeah.
Buy it on, we gotta buy it on camera. There you go, look at that. Whoa, all right.
Boy, what a deal.
Yes, I'm dealing cannabis here in front of 201 Poplar. Hello, sir. I gotta tell you, it's gonna be double for officers. If you want to buy the cannabis, as a police officer walks by me, in the commission of a crime. Next, I'm going to rape somebody. I'm going to meet a female volunteer. Yes, here you go, sir. Hey, baggie of cannabis for you. How do you like that? Now I gotta keep the last one so I have something to bust me with. So it's gonna be the last one. There you go. I'm gonna take it. You close enough. All right, go leave that there for the next man. Somebody will need that. Thank you, sir, for stepping up. I still got one more bag of weed to sell as the police continue to ignore me. So I gotta keep this one. I gotta tell you can hit the blunt with me. Well, I hit the blunt with me. All right, well that was smooth. Here you go. Look. Part that cut out. Look at that. Some days you just can't get arrested in this town. I continue to deal cannabis in front of this place. I'm supposed to be upstairs to get 12 years in prison. I'm selling weed. The deadly Schedule 1 narcotic. Look,
$2 for the police officer, and it's $1 for the police officer.
And somebody wouldn't mind saying what they so together we'll sit at the table scot free. Oh, Sorry guys, you're out of the running. They're stealing my thunder again. Hey, I'm dealing weed here. Let's take it factory direct.
Give me that. Give me that. Oh, thank you.
I'm dealing weed in front of the building. I'm not armed. Well, gun, but no weapon. You know what I mean now. This is cannabis. I'm dealing it. Price is double for all officers. I'm supposed to be upstairs for Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. made sentences. I just don't know what's the definition of a crime. You just can't get arrested in this town. Hi, I'm the kingpin, Thorne Peters. Welcome. You or yours received cannabis and prohibition-related charges. Drugs, prostitution, naughty lap dances. I have the law, no men's right. Hashtag no men's right, go free. We don't answer to the entity. The individual answers to the entity. Whatever we're going to do right now when we go home, it's up to us. We don't have to call anybody to get permission. No matter what sex we are, no matter what color we are, we all get to live free. And while we do it, we should smoke weed. Now there are people that wonder, what if they just don't arrest you? Don't you try it, they don't arrest you. I got weed for sale. I just have to have it for sale. I have to have one baggie left. We might have to be out here for a few days. Look how long we're staying open. The first cannabis exchange in Shelby County. We didn't think we'd be here 5 minutes, and look at us now. I'm almost sold out. We got to call the grocery. You know what? When you go to a town, you don't know where to get drugs or prostitutes. Just find the Courthouse. Go over a couple streets. We can all score whatever we want. Heron, Percocets. It's all there. Look at this. Once again, stealing my thunder. Can you believe that I am standing here proving again there is no mens rea, since nobody has called for help? If somebody got on the phone and said 911 help, my life is under threat because this guy's blowing pot smoke. Then, that's the wind of change. Uh-oh. Change our bullet. Papers, and then they're standing here. It's not about weed, it's about freedom. It doesn't matter how you feel about what I do. Who cares about you? I don't know you well enough for you to rule my life. Through God or crown or government, I am the law. The individual tells us what is the law. The law is a two-party arrangement between you and me, not between us and the government. Hey man, I appreciate you. I told you it was good weed. Thank you. I'm very satisfied. Good shit. I don't want to go down on some half-assed Reggie, man. Listen, see, when you get that grip from the hood, you know it's up there because you can't play in the hood. You come with the fucking slow. I'm from the mound. I'm the hound from the mound, dealing that killer kush by the pound, and they won't arrest me. Yet they call it a crime. They arrest you. Don't come back here and go steal. No, just get the sniper from over there. Just open fire. You're stealing my thunder again. I'm here to deal cannabis. Hello. Will anybody arrest me for this Schedule 1 felonious act? You're just going to leave me hanging. Well, 7 years. That's when the next person comes by and they can really use it. I'm good. Hello! How you doing? I came here. You missed it. We got it on video. Where this is what we're reduced to. This is our media feed pool, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. From Channel 24, Jenny DeFrisio. Now, she wanted to get here for the trial of millennium. They played Where's Waldo with the jury. Oh yeah, oh hey, tomorrow, it's going to be later. No, it'll be now. No, it was over. It was yesterday. And so I've been standing here. Police have been walking by. I have opened the first cannabis exchange in all of Shelby County. Right here. No more pot dispensary. I don't care if you have a license. It doesn't matter if you have a license. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care why you want it. I personally smoke it because I'm a non-smoking atheist. I was just here. I nearly sold out. I had to hold on to one last bag so they'll come and arrest me. They will not arrest me. Police have walked by and ignored me. They have closed the door. Like, what am I supposed to do? Draw down. Hey, maybe they'll shoot me down. And so it's like, because on my paperwork, it says that I'm a black guy 4 different times on my paperwork because I live in the mountains. It's called redlining. I've never been mistaken for a black man except in the dark under the covers. I want that on the news. That's it. And so, here I stand in front of 201 Poplar. committing this felony that I'm going to 12 years to prison for doing, dealing weed, and they won't arrest me because it's not in their interest. The only reason they came out on the other cases, they heard there were weapons in her house. They found me guilty of weapons that were in somebody else's house. And the judge, J. Robert Carter Jr., said that didn't matter. If you go over to someone's house, you got some weed, they got a gun, you're both in possession of it. Judge J. Robert Carter Jr., put quotes around it. The man who said to the jury and to me that when police lie on the stand, you cannot use their testimony from one cop to tell another cop they're lying. Apparently, he's the one person of that certain age that missed the O.J. Simpson trial. He must have missed that where, oh, we don't care how the glove got there. We're just here with it. So here I stand. How is this a crime? I am polarizing this moment. People will look at this and think it's some kind of a stunt. I'm here to prove that there's no mens rea, that the individual is all-powerful until you sign up for legislation that makes the entity more powerful. No mens rea represents us all. When you say medicalized marijuana, you say kingpin, go to fucking prison. See, that's what your medicalized, decriminalized weed says. Some of us go free. It's Jim Crow weed. It declares that some will ride at the front of the bus while others will not. Only 3% of America were denied the right to ride at the front of the bus, so what was the big problem? Now you have governors that say, sign this bill, and it will represent practically everybody. Guess what it means when they say practically everybody? That it doesn't represent me. It says that I will go to prison because there's no legislation. The courts will not follow the law, they follow legislation. The lawyers will not follow the law, they follow legislation. Therefore, we are denied our right to counsel for the simple fact that they will not follow the law. That they will not follow the law, but we have to follow the law. Because we're Americans and we're sworn to follow the law. So until the lawyers follow the law, we must proceed pro se to jury trial with the lawful offensive of no mens rea and the Human Rights Declaration of I am the law, and you do it on behalf of the kingpin, Thorne Peters. I've earned it. I stand here creating the front lines for the lawful offensive of the tyranny against prohibition. Anybody who is in front of me is the enemy. If you call for legislation of any ilk, you declare that we are slaved by legislation. I declare that we are free at birth. I say to sensible people, look at the affidavit of complainant. Show me the name of the victim. If there's no name of a victim, how can they proceed? And if it is a crime, how come I stand here committing this crime? Well, suddenly the cops have gotten the word to get off the street. Now let us not forget that in moments they'll come up here and they will have to take me into custody for not being upstairs being sentenced. But when you do, I have weed on me that you're going to have to deal with. And once you arrest me and bring me inside, it's now a Fed charge. So I demand that an agent from the Federal Bureau of Investigation come here and click on thornepeters.com and go to the conspiracy page to see the 9-year criminal conspiracy by the public officials in this town, the highest elected and ranking and appointed public officials. I want a member of NORML to come up here and articulate how they will refuse to follow the law, how they follow legislation over the law. I want a member from the World News, from CNN, to get here and tell the story of the trial of the millennium, that I prove that we are free at birth. There was no accuser to say differently. And I want one of these celebrity faux activists to step up and speak up. Until that happens, I will go on a hunger strike. I know, let the jokes begin, but I'll die just as quick as you skinny people. See what I have to do? Suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. You're going to make fat jokes. I'll tell you, talk about the girth while you do it as well. Let's give credit to where credit's due. So here we are. It becomes anticlimactic because they won't come out here and arrest me. Let us go down the list of crimes, show of hands. What crimes could we start committing that police would walk away from? I'll tell you, all of them where nobody's yelling help. How about an act of prostitution? I got a couple of bucks. What do you say? Let's see how long we go with that. If I was sniffing cocaine right here, they'd be all over that. They will say we arrested the marijuana activist for drugs. And then I had narcotics, paraphernalia. What happened to the pot? Where did the pot go? When they executed my pot dealer, Brian Gregory Johnson, known to us as Hot Dog, a man who was in the business. They said he reached for a gun under the chair, under his seat in the car. He never carried a gun. He's a dope boy. He'd have bailed out and been home having dinner with his wife in the home they owned, raising their children that night. But he was shot down by the police. And when they shot him down, oh my God in heaven, that did not just happen. Oh my God. Holy shit, nobody go out there and get hurt. And we continue. For those, be careful, for Brian Gregory Johnson, we'll just see, we can cut this, except for the live audience, look at it, that's the drama. Brian Gregory Johnson was shot down by the police, and when he was, they said he was a man with a long criminal record. That means he was a pot dealer. Because if he had committed an act of violence, they would have said he was a man with a violent criminal history. And if they would have articulated it like rape and violence. Criminal record. That means weed. That means weed, and it always means that. They try to obscure and blur. Look at the bright side. They don't want to arrest me for dealing weed. And the President of the United States, as well as his henchman Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, believes that I should be executed for dealing weed. Well, execute me. I'm going to step back a little bit when I say that. Go ahead. See the red dot, everybody hit the deck. Execute me. I am here dealing weed in the name of freedom, in the name of a free market enterprise. Everything that we were guaranteed in America that has been robbed through legislation, through the courts. My number is 1-800-PRISON. Gently call Lady L, she'll be there. I am challenging lawyers. I need lawyers. That is Gently, attorney at law, Esquire. He is a man of good conscience, but they all believe that they have to follow the law. Because the first thing everybody says, if you take away legislation, we'll all be lawless. Why, we could just run around and rape and pillage? No, legislation allows them to come and rape and pillage. I don't need justification from the court or nullification from a jury. I'm not there to offer them a rationalization. I am the law. The law is just this. You and I, all alone, in a room. What proceeds next? Must we call Judge J. Robert Carter Jr.? Help! I'm dealing weed. I mean, wow. I mean, you know, this is because in Hollywood they said, you know, with your talent you can't get arrested in this town. Apparently, I'm reliving that scenario. I can't get arrested. I can't, but it's at their discretion. They don't want to tell the story of arresting me, where it's heroic. Don't you remember? Yes, I'm me. I'm dealing weed. Help! I've got weed. Don't shoot. I'm white. And so when they told the story of Deputy Gary Beans, the only news channel that came out and told the story, Channel 24 News. The other two stories that told it referred to me as the guy. And that media bias, along with the court bias, played itself out in jury trial as they made certain that the media was not present. So are you here too? I'm all out of hell. I'm holding down like I don't need to get arrested for it. You know what? If this goes over well, somebody else will step up, especially when they see it on the news. I wonder if they'll even tell this story. Some crazy guy was out there doing something. The end. And he was doing it in front of the court. And he was wearing a robe when he did it, but that's your last hit. So if you tell him it was a guy in a robe, you're going to know that it's the end. Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. and I had a great back and forth over, you know, we got to get back on the record to make sure they know when he said the guy in the black robe, that they were talking to about me, not him. I said, well, for the record, that's a frock. Just so you know, this is a robe. You go to the disco with that. What do you go to with that? Oh, that's right. Those fraternity parties. An all-male organization where guys are doing down low things to each other, and that, but you're still not gay. We're all naked, but we're still not gay. It's a fraternity thing. So here I am. Thank you. You're watching this happen. Do you understand the narrative? To Matthew Pappas, to Michael Minardi, those of you lawyers out there that believe you are activists, I call out directly to Tom Lucky, who speaks to Morgan & Morgan and John Morgan, who's spending $100 million on medicalizing marijuana. That means you're spending $100 million to put me in prison. Thank you. I'll tell you what, buy me a big sack of fucking weed, say no mens rea, I am the law, and let's get out of here. You can keep most of that money. But at the Freedom Fund at thornepeters.com, there is a $1 million button. If you build it, they will come. And I will not turn it down, but I will stand here and earn it. Because waiting for me sooner or later when either I run out of air or they run out of patience, they have to come and get me because I'm a wanted man. They've called my name and I have not answered, and I shall not answer. I shall stand here and rot. Let the hunger strike begin. Well, right after lunch, there will be, the hunger strike will begin. After Subway, a little bit. But I'm here for you. I'm ready to go down. Look, there's another officer. Quickly. It's going to take a while. He's got to win, but okay. I'm selling marijuana. Help. A deadly schedule. Hurry, you're making me late for Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. I want it on the record. Came here in the timely fashion, ready to be busted. Figure, you know, get there, get busted in a couple of minutes. I get upstairs, we're all good to go. But no. Now they've got me held in contempt. And all I asked for was a simple bust. One bust for possession for sales of cannabis. And all I'm down to left, I've sold so many bags, this isn't barely possession. They want a clearance for sale. It doesn't matter how little it is. Thank goodness you're here, sir. I surrender. Don't shoot. I want you to watch this as they walk by this crime and commission. Prove to you it's not a crime. It's not a weapon. I gotta keep rephrasing this.
The police have to decide on what to do. That's crazy.
Okay, real quick.
Come on, man.
Come on.
And we need to come over here.
The last time we got the sheriff and the DA.
So,
Now I'm a little bit.
So real quick, because I got here late. So are you purposely not going upstairs?
I'm not going to stand there and report to that criminal court. I'm demanding a new trial. You know the story of how they played games with Where's Waldo with the media. Why aren't we going there to cover the trial of the millennium? The trial of the millennium was covered like an accident report about a fender bender. They sent up one lowly poor girl up there, dear sweet nameless one. And so all she did was told that this is what you can and cannot write. I'm here all day. Could you guys hurry? I'm going to be late for court upstairs. I'm trying to deal weed.
So don't put here and make no time.
I'm supposed to go to prison for dealing weed, yet I can't get arrested for dealing weed. Does that mean I don't have to go to prison? Right. So I am purposely standing here because I will not report to them. I went to them in good faith, and Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. saw fit to suppress evidence, once again to intimidate the witnesses, but most importantly, he didn't want one word of that. For a $65 drug bust with the media and a guy to come through the back door for the perp walk, and 19 months of wrongful incarceration, followed by a jury trial for I was facing 11 months, 29 days for a possession of pot charge. But I was not in possession of pot. And the jury found me guilty of possession of not being in possession of pot. It's a little complicated. Let's hear again. Falsified reports, planted evidence, and perjured testimony by these highest elected and appointed officials. And once again, they have now done injustice. So I have to stand out here and make certain that I take a bust to show. They used the guns against me, guns that have been thrown out in the lower court by a judge, Rhonda Harris, that did not have an agenda. She heard the evidence that the guns belonged to someone else, this woman right here, the owner of the home. They heard that evidence and testimony. They heard evidence and testimony from the mayor of Pembrokeshire himself, Leo Uga, what? You know what, right? Yeah, so, hold it down. And so they knew the guns belonged to him. That judge did not have an agenda. She threw out the guns. They brought back the guns. How did they do that? And the jury used the guns in the commission of a crime. Because when you say guns, you say pimply-faced little geeks who can't get laid, who go around shooting people because they pimply-faced little geeks that can't get laid. And then you've got some jerkbag in the hood shooting some jerkbag in the hood over their sneakers. And the next thing you know, nobody can get a gun. They piggyback this right in our faces. And they tell us this is the new freedom. We're going to take away your rights. And you, the sheep, will line up and sign up. Well, if you want to end the tyranny, join me. Line up and light up. This is April 3rd, 2018. Put that on a t-shirt. I kind of like that too, right? Yeah. It resonates. Give that lady a band. Everybody gets a band. So this is dramatic. Crazy guy in a robe. Get this, get my superhero moment. Here I go. I'm flying against justice. I'm going to have to take a nap here pretty soon, especially if I get some lunch in me. But I'm wondering just how long it's going to be Spread the word. We're free at birth. We do not need legislation. Look, every single critical McDonald's supports the legislation. Fall into the trap. They're told you to go get a politricket to be free. I'm already free. I'm free at birth. I don't care if they wrote my name on my birth certificate, capital letters or not, or if your flag has fringes that are upside down. I am not a straw man. I am not a human animal. I'm just a guy. I don't have to be worthy. I don't have to be dying of Crohn's disease. I don't have to be a sickly little girl with seizures. I like to smoke. See, who's safe among us now? Just looking to commit a crime. I mean, if you're willing to commit one crime, you're going to commit another. Next thing you know, see, it's never about pot. It's always that gateway. It's always about pot. You know what the only thing they've left out in 80 years of that whole narrative about pot? That it makes white women go off with black guys. That's the only part they now leave out. They leave everything else in. But come on, say it. Article 11, Section 14 of the Tennessee Constitution. No, Negroes, mulattoes, quadroons, or octoroons can make it with white women. You have to pass the paper bag test. Are you in? That's your law, not mine. And Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. was quite proud of the Jim Crow South's heritage when I ran it into his face. This is loving me, Virginia, all over again. The entity is telling us how we could have sex in my own lifetime. What is the act? Having sex. Actus reus. But you can't have sex with this person because you're the wrong sex, no color. You can't have sodomy, no oral copulation, no sex toys, no pornography. And, oh wait, don't use birth control afterwards. This is all what put people in jail. In my lifetime, I'm not father time yet. We're talking 50 years. And this has been the reality. It's never changed. The war in Vietnam became the war on drugs. They don't conscript us into the army. They conscript us into the courts. The Jim Crow never ended. They don't tell you can't have a job because you're black. They tell you can't have a job because you got busted for weed. So take a piss test. Welcome to America. Are you a police officer? Can you please arrest me? I'm so tired. I need to be shown to myself. Will you take me to you're starting that to kill my mojo. You're trying to block myself. Let's take a higher ground. Let's try. You will not take my mojo. That's right. Keep going. Don't come back. I have taken over this corner. That's me getting you. I got you. That's right. It's like Mr. Smith goes to Washington. What would Jimmy Stewart be saying about now? Okay. Pass. Yeah, well, you know what? You can finish that off. I'm doing my level best here. To be as much as critical. Would you like to get sorted with the critical element? You should be.
Oh, all kinds of
Ask you a
fun.
question. Have you now or have you?
Barrel monkeys.
I got this.
I'm not trying to waste it. Fry my life.
I said, bring them out in the open.
Make different.
Tell me your point. Oh, well, thank you. Oh, thank you. See, I don't care. I'm going to prison. Yes, I did. I have. Your thoughts. Hey, guys, I appreciate you. Wow. Send me. Wow. I love women.
Send your legs.
Yeah, good Lord. I just... Wow! This came over here to give you a smile sheet, but you know, they all say the same thing. I experimented in college. Everybody goes to college to experiment with drugs and homosexuality. That's why I'm a junior high school.
OCU right there, now.
Well, OCU it is.
Yeah, what's up, OCU?
Hey, I'm dealing weed.
Baby, up the north.
Hey, brother, I'm still dealing weed. Will somebody please arrest me? I'm getting
Yeah,
work.
that's funny. You can name all the police in your name. Good.
Going around the corner. I don't have to. There's cops over here. I can get some heroin easy enough.
It smell good, man.
This is why I get a reputation as a loud one. They keep talking. I had a 5-minute oblique that's ready to go. But look at what the evidence is. Give up all of this nonsense that's going on around it. Okay, something's got to go. Entertainment and enlightenment. The idea is that they're not arresting me. Does anybody else get it? Look on your affidavit of complaint and tell me when I start to go crazy. Ready, begin. If there's not a name of a person that says stop, help, police, court, jury, then we're done here. Cannabis for sale? It wouldn't take you a lot. You'll be behind. Ooh. And so, yes, that's right. I'm inappropriate to women. Throw another log on the fire. I got years to do. I'm sure I can work that one off pretty quick. Add it on top. And so, this is what we're facing. Look at this. You think this is funny? There are people going to jail getting probation, violating probation with this. And it's dang near good long gone. I'm holding on to it to have a little something left here in the bag for them. By the time they get here, this is just going to wither. So is it crazy for me to demand that there's a name on an affidavit? Not public in society. That diminishes a human being to nothingness. That they can write on a line that the violation of the peace and dignity of society. Yes, that's what Governor Wallace used to say. Another detective, for God's sakes, what is it going to take? You're not going to have to launch another 9-month-long investigation. I'm right here. Do you see what I'm talking about? Why aren't they arresting me? Why aren't they sending the goon squad? Why am I not being pummeled? Because they will stop me in the commission of crime. But you just said it was a crime, but you didn't stop me in the commission of it, yet it's a crime. Somebody stop this ride. How do you, the sheeple out there who flock tard and gather up follow quacktivists spouting ideologies, how do you support this? How can you allow the entity to proceed against an individual when the individual is the only person who can define what a crime is? A crime, an individual's rights are snowflakes. The law is a snowflake. No two people have the same law. Sure, we all agree we don't want to be beaten and murdered and pummeled and raped and robbed. What about sodomy? Oh, well, now that's not everything. For me, it's unlawful entry, but for others, you know who rides the sides. As we learned in the story of Deputy Gary Beans, we learned in that story. So what? He wants to go out and toss a little salad. I didn't have a problem with it. The department had a problem. He was doing it on his company page on company time. His wife of 32 years and no extra days was a little upset that he was sexting from her ancestral home on their 32nd wedding anniversary. That kind of sucks. You know, I mean, when I'm looking at you going, well, that's pretty low life, you really scraped the bottom. Because I'm willing for you to just be a low life. And so, what have we learned from all of these stories? That the individual rights change because we decide what is lawful and unlawful based on our desires, based on our dreams, and based on our wants from life. And we all have that. And yet we're told that if you have these wants and desires, we're brand new and labeled. Two people do the same thing. Two people take a pill. One is a criminal, one's a customer. So we're comfortable with that. Two people sit at the front of the bus, get ready for it. One is a customer and the other is a nigger. That's this law. I am not going to be branded with the scarlet N that I am told that I got to get to the back of the bus because of legislation. And anybody who thinks it's different, because after all, I'm not born a pothead. Well, I don't know. I think anybody was. I'm not born a pothead, so I don't have the same right to rights. Well, you have a choice. Black people do not. Yes, they did. Stay away from white women. Don't go to lunch counters. You had a choice. You chose to be free. How dare you? And that's what we're choosing here, is freedom. And apparently, this is not a crime because I'm still standing here. And they're just hoping to just wear me down. What do they think? Wear me down and I'm going to go away? You don't want me. Sooner or later, you're going to come and get me. And I have to now make a stand here day after day. Well, until closing. If they close and I'm still standing here, I'm going home. We'll start the day anew. No, I can't. I can't, because if I go home, they'll get me there. Oh, no. I see a motel room in someone's future.
Look, she's got
Bomb chicken, bomb John.
See?
Yes!
Yay!
Yes!
Oh, man, great.
Good for you. Right on. Selling weed. Go inside. I'm selling weed right here now.
Oh, right.
What else do you think to say?
You took the deal.
Oh, no, they're going to go back and tell me, man, I see this dude out front, he took a big snitch deal. He was fucking around selling weed, they were that's what they're trying to do now by not arresting me. They're putting a snitch tag on me, man. Oh, man. They put the snitch tag on me, man. Like, I'm bulletproof. take that back. Don't give me the tower over there. Right. Don't stand near me. Yeah, well, hey, you know, here in this town, man, if you're black or a pit bull and you bark, you get shot. He blasted my pit bull in the face. All he did was just look at him. He didn't have a chance to bark. It's in their code. Oh, what brings you here?
I was downstairs.
I mean, we all want to see the bus. It's like when we watched that flying millennium guy. I tuned in to see him drop. I wanted him to drop to his death. Are you the officer of the law here to arrest me? First, I'm selling cannabis. Could you call somebody?
Oh, you're selling weed?
I am selling weed, yes. I can't actually sell it. I can only offer it because they bought my other bags. And I have the proceeds from the crime right here.
It didn't blow away.
Yeah. It's ain't even going on my books, man. Somebody else got to put money on my commissary. This is
I
gone.
would have to care.
This proceeds. Are you a lawyer?
I guess you don't care about it.
Good for you, sir.
I guess they care too much then. For what? I mean, if you don't care about it and I want to do it, what that mean? Okay, this is a protest, gotcha.
Right.
Yes, it really ain't. I mean, you choose.
I am the law. No mens rea. And that means that the entity cannot tell me how to live my life. That they can't tell me to get to the back of the bus because they got legislation. That you can't tell me that I can't have sex with whoever I want with because they're the wrong color or the wrong sex. That's too much. I'm not that smart. They want to create a system where we're all going to mess up. I'm a junior high school dropout. I have a criminal record. So you can't expect for me to be smart enough to understand your version of freedom. That it's for people who have PTSD or Crohn's or... I'm never on the list. We can never have a list. You realize that the only reason that legislation exists is so there could be a list to tell other people that legislation doesn't represent you. Hello, I'm running for office. Vote for me and we'll stand against them. What do you say? Yes, aren't we all against them? Whoever them may be. Or those. Don't forget about those. Everybody's against those, right? Yeah. I'll be one of those. It's bad enough to be one of them. So when you have comprehensive legislation that says it will represent practically everybody, and you have this legalized, medicalized, decriminalized marijuana bill, and you say that now it represents almost everybody, well, hell, only 3% of the country wasn't allowed to ride at the front of the bus, so what was the big deal? 97% of the people in America, including black people, an undercover cop, right? That's an undercover janitor. He don't have that feel. He don't have that cop feel.
No, he just had his head down.
He had a badge.
Yeah, he had a badge gun.
Oh, well, there you go. They make them spare around
You
here.
can read them around here.
So we have to learn to stand up, not to say whether or not you smoke weed or not. I say you have to, if only black people supported black causes, there would be no success to black causes. So I need the people who don't smoke weed to stand up and say, man, that's bullshit. I want to build schools, not jails. How about that? Vote for me. And I'll tell you what, you give me all my party people and I'll let you keep the low-life scumbags with guns in their hands. How about that? Just give me back all the party people.
They give me all the weed smokers. We all go in one area. We agree to that, don't
They're going to send me off to
one
prison.
spot, man.
They're going to send me off to prison with my fellow violent offenders who committed no crime and committed no act of violence. And so, wow, so we all need to go home. If there's no name on the affidavit, we have to send them home. When does this rhetoric sound insane?
No man's right.
Like this. Why would I come back here, leave my cushy job as a strip club coach, at Deja Vu Showgirls, Hollywood and Vine?
Jesus.
I know it, right? At Deja Vu Showgirls, Hollywood and Vine. And why would I leave that position in order to come here to get arrested? So, if I had a choice right now between going to the strip club tonight and going to prison tonight, which do you think I'd take? And thank you for playing. I left the strip club to be here to come back and fight them. We must answer for the injustice. Your DA and sheriff, Bill Gibbons and Mark Luttrell, respectively, came to my club over a $65 bust and brought the media, a 9-month-long sting operation, 19 months of wrongful incarceration, and then a jury trial. And they never had to answer for it. Put period pills and blood pressure medicine, a crack pipe, and some blunt roaches on the bar, and declared that this was a crime scene. I was a front for drug trafficking, dealing drugs in volume to minors.
Real quick, because my car's stuck in the court downstairs, so I'm having to use it.
Oh, excellent.
Tell me,
Are you worried about going to prison? Like, talk about that.
Going to prison is as terrifying a moment as I could possibly imagine since I've never been to prison. And I've been to jail for a total of 40 months in my entire life over prohibition-related charges. And it looks like right now, I'm not sure what the sentencing guidelines are in 12 years. But what I'm looking at right now is years in prison. I have to fight the guts off. So I'm terrified, but I knew going in this was what it was going to be. I'm not wide-eyed believing that I was going to proselytize people in my lifetime. It took 84 years from Paisley, Alabama, that the Supreme Court declared in 1883 Negroes and Caucasians could not mate because it would make mongrel babies. It took 84 years and the prohibition of interracial marriage. So as I told the jury, there's no such thing as slow and steady progress. It's stuck on stupid. It took this long, from here to there, for the Negro to be allowed to sit at the front of the bus because there was no more prohibition. The speed of stupid was the 400 years in between. So how long will it take before humanity accepts that we're free at birth, not slave to legislation?
Real quick, just so I have a quick you have up to 12 years, or they sentence you to 12 years?
I'm going up there to be sentenced. I'm trying to get up there, but they won't take me. And so I'll be just standing out here very shortly. That's all right. My point has been made. Yes, they've said 12 years, and I don't know whether they're doing 35%. I'm a violent offender. Under cover of darkness, there'll be enhancements. I don't know what. I don't know. The President of the United States, Herr President himself, wants me executed. And, you know, he's really popular. He's more popular on Twitter than I am, so maybe I deserve to be executed. I don't know. I mean, check in. I'm there. Whatever it is, that's what's going to be here. If they ever come and get me before I, drop dead. Goodness, are you here to arrest me, sir? I am selling cannabis, the deadly Schedule I narcotic.
Hey, come buy some then.
You on that. You see that? See, I think the media out here, I reach out profoundly. It's time to stop being the bark catchers for these corruption.
It's one of those different though. Let me do that though. What's that? I would have been slammed. I would have said that.
Okay.
Bring it out. Put that on that.
Now, this is what we have to do. We have to make it clear. Hang on a second. We have to make it clear that the corruption that goes on in this community can't be laughed off anymore. Everybody knows we have the most corrupt DA. You go to thornepeters.com, you go to the conspiracy button, and you just hit one button after another that's bigger than anything she's ever been busted on. It brings to focus how much money you have spent on this corruption. I have polarized it by allowing them to commit these acts of corruption. Falsified reports and planted evidence. They have misused the system on me alone. I represent a quarter of and they want more blood from me. And now what I must make clear is it's not just, I thought I lost my blood. And then they'd have no reason to not arrest me for doing nothing. So we have to make it clear that every time they're going to prosecute us for doing nothing to no one, they're willing to violate our rights. They're willing to falsify reports. They're willing to plant evidence. They're willing to give contradictory testimony and lie their faces off and hand in reports 8-9 months later that contradict themselves every time there's a problem, and I've got all the evidence. And then, of course, the greater struggle for humanity is a world where we no longer answer to the entity. That the entity is people. It is for the entity to even speak. The entity has no voice but to be heard, for the accuser to be heard. We need for that individual, for the court of law, to respect the individual. And instead of legislation that says some of us will never be free. Well, not just because I'm always on that list of those who will never be free. The agnostic, Yankee, Jew, I'm no Irish. I came here to commit a crime. You know, for the tears out, you know that it's not a crime. I have nothing but reports and pages. I'll go, hello, would you please arrest me for dealing cannabis? And they look the other way. See that? Just walking right by.
There's another one for you.
They will not go, there he is, point me out. That's the one selling the cannabis.
Take him
The
upstairs.
deadly Schedule I narcotic. I want to know how many crimes I can stand here and commit, because there's a few others I'm willing to try out. I always say with rape, it has to make sure you stick the landing. As long as it doesn't end. Do you see this? This is what happens. Did you think for a moment that they were not good? Did you think for a moment cops would just be walking by going,
Hey, good. DA.
Here I am, coming up on hour 2 with my Popbuster song. Hello. Hashtag no betray, I'm the law. If you lawyers will say it, I don't have to say it anymore. It's just like everybody else, I'm sick of fucking listening to me. I tuned off this program about an hour ago. I had a 5-minute rant. I have been up all night. Well, I've been up for all week. I mean, I've been up for days. I had 5 minutes in me. That was the last 5 minutes I didn't use on her. And so here I am. I mean, I'm done, Jack. And yet, I guess I'm just getting started. I guess we're going to start to build me supplies because I am going to hold down the fort. Where's the big giant garbage can for the shit in? Okay, there it is. You get me for that. Somebody alert Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. It's time to go put a microphone in his face. Let's see, what about his accusations, Judge J. Robert Carter Jr.? That's not once but twice. That they judge shopped me across. Have you ever heard the Judge Paulus Gahan tape that I sent you where they are plotting with Pamela Diane Stark of the ADA, who said that they're going to recuse themselves to state beats you, Judge, and they're over there whispering and setting it up. They judge shopped me across. Actually sell it. This is my last bag, but just tell them you were here at the pot sale today. It's time for us to be free, so we can get high and do things, whatever we want to do. And so I want to know from Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. how in the hell you got this. Carolyn Wade Blackett was told the day after she was assigned to so she said she would stay on that bench forever. She would fight to the death until the day I got there, and that's the very day she left. I was covered by Caitlin Alexander on Channel 3 News. Oh my God. Be careful, Angel. That's one of my pets. Still out there in the wind.
Man.
So, yeah. No, let them go. That's right. And tell them I'm dealing weed for Christ's sakes. Come on, Bree. Come on. Another puff. How many more Sylvester Stallone ones can I use? Right? I have the law. I got faith I can take this back. I took back 20 from Adolf Hitler. So that took a lot of doing. And 420's now ours. So we have the moment right here on this very spot. Smoking pot coming out. Judge J. Robert Carter. There's a page on my Facebook page. Why did you do this? And this gives you the power to go put the microphone in the face of Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. Why wasn't I arrested? Why wasn't the kingpin arrested for the very crime he's going to prison for? Hello! I am dealing pot.
Not a police uniform anywhere. This is like if you want to have no police officers in Twitter, come and have Thorne Peters sell pot. Not a one. They walk by him consistently.
There's not a cop to be found. It's a cop-free zone. Everybody, if you're watching, come to 201 Poplar. Somebody bring me some refill. I'm out of weed.
They're peeping out the corner down there going, is he gone? Is he gone?
Dear Jesus pieces. I'm losing my audience here. I'm losing my light. I'm gonna have to take a lunch break. That's what they do. I have to stay here.
Sit down.
I have to flop out right here. Anything I do over here, they're killing me. I'm too old to get arrested.
Oh, that other girl they sent back up.
I had to wait all this time to go to prison. Now they make me wait all this time to get arrested. You know, the service in this town, the next time I get busted, I'm taking my business to another town. Because the treatment I'm getting here, after being such a frequent visitor, is really disgraceful. It's insulting. I'm the kingpin, Thorne Peters. My accommodation should be waiting for me upstairs. But no, they don't want me. There's not a cop. Look, they have been called off. I want you to continue to wait and see when's the next time you see a cop. No, they're nowhere. Oh, thankfully. Now watch this. Get the camera on that. I am unarmed, but I am selling cannabis.
They just walked by. Oh, wow. In what city can you do that? Where can you do that? Where else can you do that? Offer pot for sale and have the police walk by?
The sheeple, that's UEWE, the sheeple. Continue to flog-tart for collectivist ideologies, to inform your more imperfect moron majority, to their sense for verisimilitude, injustice toward none, without a hint of audacity. Look out, I might launch into a scatological obloquy. It's good. The other thing that's starting to factor in is this lack of THC that I've had for an hour. It's really starting to settle in. You're starting to see that.
They told you.
Is anybody a police officer? Does anybody know a police officer? I tapped on the window of that cop over there. You didn't get the word. You're not supposed to drive by there. Welcome to the Cannabis Exchange. Shelby County's first cannabis. Will you please now record this?
Now look where we're recording
This is
from.
Shelby County's first cannabis
Right in
exchange.
front of the criminal center.
Not a dispensary. I don't care if you're a little girl with seizures or dying soccer mom.
This is what I call prime real estate. This is prime real estate.
You want to buy cannabis? I want to sell it to you. You don't? Hey, who runs it? If you don't believe me, go to your courthouse and start dealing weed. See how that works out for you. No. It's not the kingpin. It will not work for you. I keep telling this to guys all the time. It's not going to work for you. That's what I'm saying. Fortunately, I've never run out of anything to say, so we're good. We're good. I will out-talk. I will continue to talk until this building comes crashing down. I just may not know what the hell I'm saying, but I will be saying it. I cannot believe I am still standing here.
It's a filibuster.
I would be going over there. You're the sheeple. That's UW. He's the sheeple. Flop-tarts. I'm not that. Well, I am multi-talented. I just don't remember what those talents might be.
Not a uniform in sight. Not one police uniform anywhere in sight. He's been offering to sell cannabis, not one uniform
Save us all.
in sight. They've walked by him as he's offered them cannabis for sale. Not one officer's uniform to be seen.
Out of the walkway.
There's an
Hello,
officer.
is that for me? I'm dealing cannabis.
There we go, another one. Here, another pass.
No, the magic trick, yeah. I make cops disappear while I deal pot.
There goes another one.
It's an amazing trick. Watch this.
There's another one.
And suddenly no cops. Okay.
Never in doubt.
Disappear.
No men's raid. It works.
Disappear. You know, they'll be back. We just won't see them.
No, they'll
They're in the
come still.
windows. Is the guy really down there dealing pot? Yes, don't go near there. Cannabis. Yes. This is so much better than I thought it was going to be. Quality time with you. Quality time with most of the police officers in the building.
Yeah.
Not Bakery Sergeant. I am dealing cannabis. I turn myself into you as the leader of the movement against the tyranny of
Another
prohibition.
one gets a pass. Walks on by.
You're a sergeant.
Come back.
Maybe they're going to get the sheriff. Bill Oldham was also one of those who was there at the 420 Friendly Nightclub. You know who was there? You had Bill Gibbons, who was DA, who became Homeland Security Commissioner. You had Mark Luttrell, who was sheriff, who became mayor. You had Larry Godwin, who was your director, police director, who became assistant Homeland Security director. Bill Oldham, who became sheriff. Executive ADA Wyrick, who became DA by DA Matrix. I've got a great
Seem like a lawyer or DA.
She's apparently, I think I was photoshopped into some of those pictures, but I can't say. I smoke weed. And so she's the DA, and her hench boy, Judge J. Robert Carter Jr., is, well, my judge yet again. What are the odds? I'd say pretty much 100%. When you judge shop me for 3 years and 23 days, pretty soon, considering all the other judges that would have to recuse themselves, you're kind of left with Carter. I'm feeling pot here. What if you dealt pot in front of the police station and no one cared? I'm starting to get a complex. You know, I was just up in the hall the other day having a conversation with Judge J. Robert Carter Jr. He sees me. He looks at the glass and goes, "Hey, it's the Kingpin." And I said, "Hey, it's the kindest, wisest, handsomest judge in the history of judges." Judge Roy Bean, nothing on you now. And we're kibitzing like human beings, you know, as if he wasn't a servant of the evil empire, who was a bloodsucker and a pissant, who thrived on humanity for his $500,000 a year job. And we were having a good time, and I brought up the Dred Scott decision, where a Negro said, "Hey, you can manumit me, you can manumit me because I've been to a free state. So I'm going to ask Judge J. Robert Carter Jr., wait for it, to manumit me, because I've been to California. I've been to a free state. Nose-weeks can be free somewhere." So I'm pulling out Dred Scott on him. I'm pulling out every time everybody anywhere has ever stood up and said, "Give us free." For the first time in human history, one individual is standing up to represent all individuals with the lawful offensive of no one's right. Declare that I am the law. I now represent, connect with every person on the earth. You cannot line up and sign up and represent me. You must declare yourself to the entity. You just grab your heart and say, "I am the law. There's no mens rea." Everybody can put your hand over your heart and declare your individuality. But what you cannot do is put your hand over somebody else's heart. And that's called a trumping. See, you come up and grab your own crotch and say, "I am the law," but you can't walk up to others and say, "It's okay, I am the law." We learned that from Donald Trump. Now when they enjoy it, it's called a kingpinning. I am the law. Now you can't just make a rule because Donald Trump messed it up for everybody. No more grabbing anyone between the legs. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to decide for yourself. With rights come responsibility. The individual will have all the rights they will take responsibility for. Well, I've taken responsibility for my rights by not violating anybody else's rights. Yet I'm going to prison as a violent offender who committed no act of, violence, and no crime. I committed a victimless crime. Well, I didn't actually commit it. I committed it in essence de facto. And I wasn't in possession of a gun during the commission of a firearm. I was in constructive possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. What felony? Commission. What? It was in somebody else's house 20 feet away from me. But even though these guns were thrown out, the injustice allowed the jury to use the guns against me. They would not follow the law that says I am the law. There's no mens rea. So since they wanted to use the erroneous guns against me, I came here today to deal pot to prove they will not take me to jury trial. And look what I proved, they won't even arrest me. When I was in Hollywood, they said you can't get arrested in this town. Now they're saying it to me here again. Now I'm seeing it. It's like, wow. Johnny Carson never called, and neither the Shelby County Sheriff's Department. Hey, I don't know anybody who's standing over there. I am the law, no mens rea. If you're a lawyer and you don't say that, you are supporting the violation against humanity of prohibition.
One of them
you have the
away.
lawful responsibility to follow the law. And the law reads actus reus non facit reum nisi mensi rea. For the act to be guilty, the mind must also be guilty. And for the mind to be guilty, the act must be criminal. And a crime is an overt act with the intent to do harm to a person, property, or public. Well, I didn't have the intent to do harm because, in fact, no harm was committed. Hello? No name on your affidavit means you're not a criminal. It means the ministers of injustice are perpetrating the crime of prohibition. From the first individual thrown into the volcanoes to appease the angry gods, through crusades and inquisitions, slavery and apartheid, women's suffrage, Jim Crow, gay bashing, the war on drugs, it has all been the same prohibition. And it must end in all forms. Open up the floodgates and let everybody out who has no name of a victim on their affidavit. Now, how hard is that? In essence, de facto, means it did not happen. They merely said that it did. They are comfortable declaring that two people can be branded a criminal or a customer. Two people taking a pill, one is branded a criminal, the other a customer. This is what your medicalized marijuana wants to do. To brand one a criminal and the other a customer for committing the same act. But the law says the act must be guilty. So if you do it and it's not guilty, how the hell is it guilty when I do it? The answer is legislation. The legislation that told the Negro that could not sit at the front of the bus, that they were the criminal, while the white person could sit at the front of the bus as a customer. We cannot allow a Jim Crow system of cannabis to exist. With your medicalized marijuana for some, means others will not have any. These governors are perfectly fine with the idea of saying that practically everybody will be represented. What does practically everybody mean? That means some people will not be represented. We must never allow a system that allows some to be represented. I am the law. It represents everybody because you are an individual. Find your individuality. Find the content of character to express your individuality, to do as you will, to yourself and with others who wish to join in consensual adult behavior, whatever that might be. And all over the place there are people fighting legislation for the freedom that we have. So take legislation away from me, take it away, because it's not freedom. It's legislation. No legislation has ever set us free. Not from the Declaration of Independence that declared all men are created equal. No women, no slaves, no Indians. All men. Just say all white men. Well, that would be ghosts, just all men. You know what we mean. The Constitution that declared the Negroes would be seen as 3/5 of a human. Once these abolitionist slaveholders ended slavery on their deathbed, not the day before. This is the convoluted system. There needed to be no Emancipation Proclamation to set a human being free. It was misprision. They were being imprisoned for having black skin. It's always been prohibition. With these acts that declare that the Racial Integrity Act of 1924 and the Racial Integrity Act of the Civil Rights Bill of 1964 meant nothing until Loving B. Virginia went to court and declared that they had the right as individuals, not waiting for legislation or a vote, to declare that as a white man and a black woman they had every right to be married. What was the act? Getting married. Some can do it, others cannot. How can that be? The answer is always the same. Legislation, because legislation decrees that prohibition is lawful, because they have the right to deny your humanity. So you must never allow them to deny your humanity. By standing up and saying, I am the law, you say it for everybody on the earth, not just for yourself. This is what we can all stand under, one banner, not medical marijuana, 14 grams of weed or less. Well, I'm good now, except I'm dealing. From somebody with 15 grams, you know, the criminal. So, well, where you go? Hey, it's a decrim bill. It'll tell you what to go easy on you. Just tell us who your scumbag dealer is. So Ozzy and Harriet go free, and Reggie and JJ go to jail, and Julio go to prison. That's their version of your medicalized marijuana. Your medicalized marijuana will come here to Tennessee. And you want to guess who will be the first people that will not be able to get a job in that industry? Go ahead and guess, my brother. You're going to tell me right off the top who it is. And it's going to be them. Not because we're discriminating, but you all got criminal records for, and you guessed it, weed. Yeah, slinging and dealing. They executed my pot dealer, man, Gregory Brian Johnson, hot dog. Said that he had a gun under the seat. They just opened fire on him. He wasn't trying to shoot nobody down. He's a good dude, a good family man. Been in my home. Didn't have a gun. His neighborhood was his gun. But when you're tainted with drugs, you're a scumbag, so nobody cares. That's all they need to do to taint you is the specter of drugs. It dehumanizes you. It allows them to say that you don't count as much as others who follow the system. If you don't pay your fees to the system, there will be fines. You can have your medical marijuana, just go to a doctor. And then go pay your sin tax and your gouge prices. Well, man, broke folk in the hood, when I was dealing with coming to me with $5 and some of it was change. How long do you think they're going to wait to save up for that medical bill? How long do you think that they're going to go then and have to pay all that extra money when they go to the dude on the corner and get it for way cheaper? How long do you think that's going to be? So what you have now is a system where the white people will go get a license and the wealthy and affluent will go get licenses. And the people in the hood will still go to jail for buying it illegally. I was selling cannabis cheaper here in Memphis that was being brought to me from California than they were just selling it for the dispensaries in California. How can that be? They cheer for this system where all this tax money comes along and builds them up some tax money. But it's made on sin tax revenue. And what do they do with that money? They use it for more police to be on Craigslist looking for prostitutes. They use it to go down to the strip club. They're so proud of their millions of dollars worth of strip club probe to find out what everybody else found out with $40. Naughty girls do naughty things for money in the dark corners of the club. And the bastions of the media who stand against the strip clubs denounce it at every turn. The commercial appeal for one. And then you open up the middle and it's all filled with nothing but ads for the strip clubs. I love the hypocrisy. It's what keeps the world going. So I stand up for all people. All people, for the first time in humanity, one individual. When I say let my people go, it's everybody everywhere. Even the people that disagree or they hate me or whatever they... Judge J. Robert Carter Jr., you and everybody else. Whatever it is you're doing, have at it. Don't look over your shoulder until somebody yells, stop, help, police, and now I stand out here to make the dramatic point. How, riddle me this, you and the media are now charged with this if this ever sees the light of day. But how would you now reconcile the fact they're not arresting me? Who could have imagined that we would There's not a cop in sight. There's not even a cop coming out the door. What are we doing here? Why am I still here? If I was a taxpayer in this town, I gotta tell you, I'd be outraged. I really would, because this is outrageous. Help! I'm dealing weed. Is that Leslie Ballard? Well, yes, it is. Leslie Ballard. Now I know. Well, I got some more cocaine. I don't want to bring them in.
They won't be on film with you. They love you, but they won't be on film. They won't.
Yeah, Ballard and blow. Man, see, I listen to these charlatans when I'm in there. Hey, if you got $10,000, I can get you off. You got $5,000, I'll get you probation. And for $2,000, you're gonna do some time. Less than that, we're not even having this conversation. You know, Scott Hall. So, and that's who I'd call Scott-free. For those of you watching, time to do a promo, Scott-free. They were out here earlier. The lawyers are out here. They dig it. I was asking one lawyer, I said, what's your favorite video? And he said, man, I love that video when you were smoking pot over here in front of the court on 420. The other guy said, I love the one where you were smoking the blunt this morning when you were driving into court. How do I get up to court to suppose there's no men's right? They wanted to remand me for the blunts that they didn't have in evidence. So I said, why aren't you arresting me if it's a crime? At the trial of the millennium, I wanted to produce a video of me holding a quarter pound of weed that morning and say, this, now, I can prove it. What crime could I commit on video that you wouldn't arrest me for? So there I am holding the jar of weed. They won't allow it in as evidence. Why wouldn't you jump for joy to get that evidence? Here you are charged with rape, Your Honor, and we have a video of the guy committing a rape. That's like, wow, this is like fantastic. Why didn't you want the video of me smoking, of holding the weed? Because you know it, you can't arrest me. Oh, you can remand me, but you can't arrest me because of no mens rea. I am the law. Now, you have to go to lawyers and say, what about no mens rea? And watch what they're going to do. They put their hands up like in defense. No, we have legislation that insulates us from our inhumanity. I'm just following orders, Adolf. And it's the same as it's always been, the Nuremberg defense. And I stand up to them. Do you have the capacity to arrest somebody? She's got a gun.
A lot of people walk by with guns. Got to be 25 or more by now.
Cannabis! Law and Order episode. All about murder. 5 p.m. Well, how come I can use it as a murderer but not as a pothead? Oh, so I say, where is the victim? They say they don't have to produce a victim. Well, in the case of Colorado versus Kobe Bean Bryant, NBA Hall of Famer and sodomizing rapist, they did not proceed without their victim. How come you can proceed against a pothead? Why don't potheads have the same rights as murdering rapists? Only those little things they think is good. Of course, what they end up doing is when they play this little that's when I start cursing all over it. Well, go and fucking try it. Yeah. No, they'll just put the bleep over it. This guy's nuts. Wait till you see what they'll edit. You know, they'll say, today a man was arrested. They'll just show the bust. Like he just swooped on me. Brave and daring officers came down immediately with a second wheel. Bobby Carter! Yo! I'm gonna be a little late. I don't know.
Calling him out.
Don't look at me.
Way up there.
1-800 Kingpin.
But not an officer
Everybody's here.
inside.
It's time to hit the live switch. Breaking news. Whatever you're talking about right now, I guarantee you, this is history. This is history. It's not news. It happens to be news. It can't be news, but it's history.
This the live switch button.
This
right
is
here.
the first time one individual represented all of humanity in court here. And I am exposing the fact that they don't have the power to violate us when you stand up to them. You remember the guy standing in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square, telling the tank, come on, let's go. If you're going to proceed, you're going to have to mow me down. Well, that's what you're going to have to do to proceed. When I get in there, I'll take a butt bust every day and take every last one of them to jury trial. I will be one of them when 100 people do not do. Yeah, tell all your friends, I just want to let you know. Now, we have to see an ID on her, though, so hang on.
That's what I said.
No, just for her address. I don't care how old she is. And so if you're old enough to be hanging out in the court, you're ready to go. Here you are. Some of that you could play. I'm a pot smoker because you love smoking pot with smoking hot women. And just think, after a few years in prison, how smoking hot
Lady.
So here we are, and pretty soon they're going to go to It's just starting to get I'm losing ratings. I mean, if there's no climactic arrest here, it's like with the Walinda thing. I was so pissed off when he didn't fall to his death. I wanted it to be a clear message to the next idiot that wanted to walk across a pole across the Grand Canyon. You see that? We're losing our light. We're losing our mojo. I did my part. I made my... What's that? Oh, okay. Give you a different look.
Okay, we're taking a break for a second, conserving the battery. We'll be back.
Everyone's getting tired.
Well, arms up. So we do have media.
And puppets. We're going to have to get a little filler in. It's starting to be like the Ed Sullivan Show. Ed needs a little help. Does anybody have some unknown talent they'd like to share with us now? No, that's not one of them. That's what you did about that. What's up, brother?
Hey,
We can sign.
I will join you.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
camera, please. I was double blunted when we got here, but I'm kind of done now. Where are we down?
Feeling this wind, man. There's not... Try that. Do that again.
cell phone. I will not even reach and do that whole thing. This is my weapon. This is my gun thing. I don't want any ambiguity. That's not a gun in my pocket. I really am glad to fucking see you. I'm so glad. God, you have no idea. Thank you. Take me to my strip search. All right, time for me to lay down and make grass angels.
Grass angels. You believe that?
Why not me? Why aren't I worthy of arrest? Why am I only worthy of your prison? Why can't I be arrested? Like everybody else. I'm from the hood. I'm from the mound. What else do you do? I'm the house. Go. Is that a gun? All right, then shoot me and put me in my misery of power. We need to come back and finish. I can't do crap. I would if I could. But then we have a couple of soft ladies here, so if you don't show them the shot, they'll never know. All right, Freddie, it's time for me to crowd surf. I empower you to arrest me.
They look away.
Said, huh?
Oh, no, she's like, no, I want that. I don't want none of that.
Do what? Huh?
That's not my job. Trying to get another officer.
Thorne Peters. Drug dealer, I'll take it next level. Narcotics. Narcotics paraphernalia.
Sell it all day long here.
Oh, hurry! Where the hell are they?
They're really police.
No, I've been waiting for them. I came here
See
today.
that?
Oh, yeah, that's the real McCoy.
Let me see it.
Smell it, too.
Just here to make news.
There's another police officer. I'm dealing cannabis. Just drive by. Turn up your radio. I've got weed for sale. Here I go. No men's ray. No men's ray. No men's ray.
No man's Ray. No man's Ray.
I am the law.
Man's Ray.
Oh, it's not you. I looked it up.
It isn't.
Oh boy. I'm done with that.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I never expected this.
You're going to put this to music, it's going to go wah. Why are we going to play this? This is idiotic.
They're making it anticlimactic.
I got buddies who have probation violations papers in my pocket. And yet I'm dealing with them, and they won't come and get me. No, I need to actually put this in a second bag, split it up. 50 cents. Get down to the nub here. I'm doing all I can. And help. Where's a cop when you need one? I know. Somebody go on Craigslist on the whore page. That's where they are. They're trolling over there, trying to find, pretending they're prostitutes, or looking for prostitutes. Now, I apologize for their unconditional surrender, and then I'll go. I'll take my cannabis and go. freedom bands at? Let's get them moving and handing them out.
Coley,
Let's
come here.
do freedom band handouts. We have to do something here.
No police anywhere. We can't find your uniform.
The donut shop.
They're all inside hiding. Here, take
If
this.
they go home, they can arrest me there. And not bother with the spot. Now I'm walking this scenario. You want to bet? Everybody want to bet? Judge zero on the cards. No idea what's going on that way. Judge zero. It always has to. Then like walking out, what a beautiful day until I realized here I am in my thermal. Yeah, but you know, it's not you want to have a thermal in the jailhouse. You don't want to have one on the house. Don't worry, I'll play for you.
I might have chewed on you.
I'll get you. I won't go quiet. Just peaceful.
I've given up.
Somebody. J.D. Roberts.
Somebody has to call.
I have evidence and testimony. I was here at plenty of time. Be there in order to be upstairs for court. They're creating a scenario where I have now been held in contempt upstairs. So if they ignore me, I'm going to deploy. If you don't believe me, you come down here tomorrow, start dealing with me. Go ahead. I'll fight here. I'll fight your bag. You started. This is cool. Chicks dig the door. The pusher man. Stuff they'll play. You're like that guy from Silence of the Lambs. I think that guy ruined it for Robes for all of us after that, you know. Anybody that's the guy that scares the Robes. Silence of the I'm telling everybody I'm going to prison anytime now. We've had all these various different countdowns. This will be the day, this will be the day over 3 years. It never happens. Now this has to be the day. I just thought I'd stop by, pick up a quick bus, get upstairs, you know. But no. They're going to let me deal weed out here. On for sale. All of it on the radio. One day, this test will be over. No more standing there with your genitalia in your hands and each off. That is what your war on drugs looks like. Say no to drugs, smoke pot.
Lock him up. He would have hopped out quick as day.
What's that?
He would have hopped out quick as day with me with that sex, right? Hey, you know where you at, boy? Real time, bro. You got that case on
I have weed for sale. Yeah, we know you got weed for sale. Good news, everybody. You can deal anywhere in Courthouse. Yes, I'm dealing weed. Cannabis. Instead of the one I got. I want to make some.
Oh, man, y'all a joke, man. Y'all a joke, man.
Harry J. Enslinger.
Y'all a big laugh.
Anybody still out there? Hello, Freedom Casters. Who knew we'd still be here? Everybody's like, God, go to prison already, will you? Yeah, everybody's all saying, right, early notice. Lock him up! 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 Oh, man.
Yeah.
You're ending me. What a display. For those of you tuning in at home, any questions? Anybody out there? I'm here for all of you. All my dedicated supplicants. So that they were not going to take me away and leave me standing up there hanging. I was going to come down here and make our case, and now you can see it. That there's no mens rea for doing nothing to no one because, well, over here, that they're not arresting me. That's how you know. You're seeing it with your own two eyes. I'm not standing out here calling for medicalizing or decriminalizing or legalizing or recreationalizing or any other. We have another officer coming. We're getting another chance. This could be the one. The older guy with no stripes, he needs a promotion. This could be it. This is your big chance.
Don't get your promotion.
You just some people promoted.
Now get your promotion, man.
They're afraid to come down here.
Y'all always getting promoted over weed and shit, man. Go on, get your promotion.
Well, I've gotten a few. I got Deputy Gary Peters promoted. I got the detective. Take his drink away from him again. The greatest gathering story one of the great moments up there is when the deputies were laughing about that story. The only ones who covered that story, by the way, Jim, and that used my name. So God love me for that. We'll see if they get used in this one. It'll just show like pieces of rope. You don't know who it is. We are. And so, just like it was. And in the Detective Gary Bean story, I got to autograph a picture, the infamous picture, and I got to autograph that and give it to him. That was a great moment in rock and roll history. Not Freedom Ring. I have said to you before, and I will say to you again, that there is no mens rea for the simple fact there's no crime being committed. I have read to you the reports from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, from my club, from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, in this case, all declaring that they witnessed this criminal activity go on and took no action. And once again, you see them here, witnessing this criminal activity right in their faces. I'm one exhale away from having cops start blowing drug tests, and they will not arrest me. For the simple fact there is no mens rea. When you stand up for your rights, all of you watching this, when you see those sheeple out there denounce me and say the no mens rea way didn't work, really? Well, look at me now. Not a cop in sight.
And hey, you where the cops at?
The first
Shane, look at this little real-time drugs.
cannabis for sale. Got big time cannabis for sale. Mucho grande I am the Kingpin, Thorne Peters. You guys announced that nut job Prince Mongo as the prince. I stand up for all humanity as the Kingpin, Thorne Peters. It's time to be the first to stand up and get it straight for history. I represent all people for all time. I am not an imitation. Some people forever, but to other people, they will not arrest you. Police officers walk by. I want you to know that your understanding of the law and crime. The police would walk by. The answer is they wouldn't walk by any crime. They walk by prohibition all the time. Drugs, cannabis, prostitution, they're allowed to cultivate those people and use them as they will. They can decide whether or not this is a criminal act, unlike, with crime. So I am here to expose the fact that there is no mens rea. I am the law. We would find out that there is no mens rea. That's why they will not condemn me, because they don't have guns this time to use against me. They don't want to take this. 420 Friendly Nightclub in Millington from 2008 to 2009. They had a 9-month-long sting operation, watching me smoke pot all the time. They arrested me for running a front for drug trafficking for 18 months, brought me to a jury trial where I was only sentenced to 29 days after 19 months. I'm here to expose the corruption. I came back from Hollywood, my good life in Hollywood, by get arrested. Feel out on Facebook to call them out to arrest me. Good thing. Instead, they used guns against me that were found in somebody else's house the home where I was arrested. Guns that have been thrown out. So they didn't want to face me over the cannabis. Now I'm going to make them face the cannabis. So what do? They run the crime. They would fear the law. They follow legislation. Legislation is always controlled by law. Every civil and criminal right. The law has always resided with the individual who stands up to the entity and declares declares that I am the law. That there's no guilty mind to do nothing to no one. That people have consent and freedom, free will, in a free society with free market enterprises. That's not familiar to you. That's supposed to be our American. That's not the American dream. That's the American promise. And we will live up to that promise by standing up as individuals. No more lighting up and signing up the legislation that declares we have to be entity. I am the law protects all people at all consensual. It's as simple as this. Do not put somebody through the system that does not have a name on the affidavit where it says name of victim. There is no victim, there's no guilty mind, there's no crime, there's no time, no men's right. I am.
They're calling it in.
Mr. Soundbite.
We have a report. They're calling it in. People are viewing. They're calling it in that you're out there. As soon as they hear it's you, they're hanging up.
901-222-1300. The Office of the District Attorney General of Shelby County. Amy Wyrick, my PA. In light of all those pictures you may or may not be seeing of us on my website, we're not that close. You don't have to be close to do all that. You just... So call her up, 901-222-1300. Tell her the Kingpin is on the move again.
Come and arrest him.
901, call in. Let's get those phone calls rolling. Everybody call in. Got a phone down here. Call in,
222-1300.
They are running and hiding from the news as much as they're running and hiding from them. They do not want you to get arrested. This is why they say that we're involved in That's part of what the trial is about, is the fact that they're using the speaking line to get them, oh, we're not here. Then on Tuesday, there was no
Can't get arrested here.
I did my part. I'm doing my part. I have tried to be as entertaining as I can for as long as I can. I've spent too much time.
This building is filled with hundreds of officers. Thank you, Channel 3.
Every chance they get on us about anything, we're here to do. I mean, you say white cop, Mexican cop.
Here they come, finally. All right, step aside. We might be having our moment. Everybody get ready. Let me have my yellow paper.
We have people calling. Here we go. We got officers on the scene.
Okay, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Okay. Peters. Yes sir. How do you do, sir? I have a warrant for arrest. Thank you. Hell, you're doing Peter, where about my weed? They won't arrest me for the weed. Oh, you don't have to click me that tight so my hands turn backwards. Come on, friend. Oh, you don't have to click me up like that. Those are legal papers. You have to take my law papers with me.
So now they've arrested him, not for pot, not for cannabis, but for something else again. They won't meet cannabis. They will not meet cannabis.
Failure to appear. Didn't mention a word about the cannabis.
They are. Okay, so he got his wish. He has now been taken into custody, but this was for failure to appear. So now we'll take it up to the floor where J. Robert Carter Jr. is, and we'll go up there and we will walk around with our buttons on, and we will make it known that there is no mens rea for any cannabis use. Stay tuned. Update later. Thanks.